1984 talks about sacrificing personal liberties for safety and what the world looks like also if communism to an extent is realized. George Orwell was a journalist and a British author. 1984, if you haven't read it, I highly suggest reading it. Orwell was a socialist. He originally actually was an ardent communist until he went to the Soviet Union and saw that it was an utter failure. He actually, I think, is a great person to look at when we look at Lockean principles. Human beings are gray. We're not inherently evil, nor are we inherently good. And that the best kind of government is a hodgepodge type of government, not necessarily a strong centralized power. 1984 focuses on the government. It's where power runs rampant and controls, and the human being is no longer a human being. We probably are still quite a few steps away from anything like that. But it does tell you what right speak is, and the idea of shepherding a populace into one group, and you ought not to deter from that or you will be viscerally punished. There's something to be said that we are actually doing it to ourselves, that social media, we've done it to ourselves, and there is an okay amount of policing yourself, right? We fit into a community, we want to be a part of that community, so there is a naturalness to doing that. Usually when one absconds from that, punishment is not total exile. Usually there is a road back in or a way back in, not an actual decimation of one's life. In Orwell's eyes, there's the idea that the government becomes all powerful. There's an extent to that and a fear that the executive in the United States has become more and more powerful. That has been especially true since World War II. The executive always had a lot of power in foreign policy, but essentially the executive alone is beginning to be able to wage wars, fully creates party platforms, and we've become nationalized fully, whereas even 30 years ago, there was a much more local community. 1984, and literature like it, paint the beauty of humanity. Through literature, we can find the warts and blemishes, but yet the most wondrous, divine beauty. There are stories that can shake you to your soul.